Homeless population growth in America's greatest cities. It's worse than you think. The homelessness crisis in America's greatest cities has reached alarming levels. In this eye-opening video, we explore the staggering growth of homeless populations in major US cities, including New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Seattle, and more. Despite being hubs of wealth and opportunity, these cities are grappling with a humanitarian crisis that is often hidden from the public eye. In this video, you will discover the top 10 cities in the US with the highest homeless populations, including shocking statistics from New York City, which leads with over 80,000 homeless individuals. How the rise in housing costs and lack of affordable housing is displacing thousands of residents in cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Oakland. The devastating impact of economic inequality, mental health issues, and the opioid crisis, particularly in Phoenix and Denver, fueling homelessness across the country. Personal stories of people affected by homelessness, such as Tracy Bennett from San Diego and Cara Bernstein from Seattle, highlighting the daily struggles and challenges they face. The grim reality of Skid Row in Los Angeles, a district where homelessness and poverty have created some of the most challenging living conditions in the US. How tech booms and gentrification in cities like San Jose and Seattle have exacerbated the homelessness problem, creating stark divides between wealthy neighborhoods and areas filled with encampments. Key statistics. San Francisco, skyrocketing living costs, fueling homelessness. San Francisco, the 10th city on the list with approximately 7,082 homeless individuals, stands as a stark example of how economic prosperity can coexist with deep social inequality. Known globally as a tech hub, San Francisco is home to some of the most lucrative tech companies, from Google to Salesforce. Yet, it is also one of the most expensive cities in the world to live in. Cost of living. The cost of living in San Francisco has been driven to staggering heights, primarily due to skyrocketing property values and rental prices. Median home prices often exceed $1.4 million, and average rental rates are among the highest in the nation. This housing crisis disproportionately affects lower-income residents, many of whom work in essential but low-paying jobs, such as service industries. With wages stagnating while the cost of housing continues to climb, thousands are unable to keep a roof over their heads. Tech industry boom. While the tech industry has brought wealth and innovation to the Bay Area, it has also accelerated the housing crisis. As high-income tech workers move into the city, demand for housing has increased, driving up prices and displacing long-time residents. San Francisco's housing shortage exacerbates the problem, leaving little to no affordable housing options for its lower-income and homeless populations. Sacramento, a severe housing shortage. Sacramento ranks 9th in the United States, with a homeless population of approximately 9,281 people. Although the cost of living in Sacramento is lower than in cities like San Francisco or Los Angeles, the city still faces a severe housing shortage. This shortage is a primary driver of homelessness, coupled with stagnant wages and rising rental prices. Housing crisis. Sacramento's real estate market has seen rapid appreciation in recent years, driven by a combination of population growth and limited new housing developments. The city's housing stock has not kept pace with demand, pushing rents upward and leading to increased evictions. For many residents, the financial burden has become unsustainable. Social challenges. Compounding the housing shortage are Sacramento's broader social challenges, such as a lack of mental health services and affordable health care. Many individuals experiencing homelessness in the city also face mental health issues or substance abuse problems, further complicating their ability to find stable housing. Phoenix ranks 8th on the list with around 9,642 homeless individuals. The city's homelessness crisis has been driven by a combination of factors, including economic inequality, rising living costs, and a crippling opioid epidemic. Although Phoenix has historically been considered more affordable than other major US cities, Rising property values and rents are increasingly pushing out lower-income residents. As wages fail to keep pace with the cost of living, many families find themselves unable to secure stable housing. Arizona has also seen cuts in funding for affordable housing projects, leaving many without options. The opioid epidemic has significantly worsened the homelessness crisis in Phoenix. Addiction issues, often linked with mental health problems, have led to an increase in homelessness, as individuals struggling with substance abuse find it difficult to maintain employment or secure stable housing. This public health issue further deepens the complexities of Phoenix's homelessness problem, as it creates a vicious cycle of poverty, addiction, and homelessness. With approximately 9,759 people living without a permanent home, Oakland ranks 7th in the United States in terms of homeless population. The city's rise in homelessness is largely attributed to its escalating housing prices, which have outpaced income growth for many residents. Like its neighbor San Francisco, Oakland has seen a dramatic rise in housing costs. The city's proximity to the tech boom has attracted wealthier residents, which has driven up property values and rent prices. This has created a stark divide between Oakland's affluent areas and neighborhoods plagued by homelessness. Oakland's local government and non-profit organizations have made attempts to address the homelessness issue through shelters and transitional housing programs. However, the demand far exceeds the available resources. The visible presence of homeless encampments across the city highlights the ongoing struggle to provide adequate housing for those in need. San Jose, home to approximately 9,903 homeless individuals, is the 6th city with the largest homeless population in the United States. The irony of San Jose's situation is striking. The city boasts some of the world's wealthiest individuals, many of whom have made fortunes in Silicon Valley, yet it simultaneously struggles with an escalating homelessness crisis. San Jose has one of the most expensive housing markets in the country, with the median home price often exceeding $1 million. This has left many low- and middle-income residents struggling to afford basic housing. Despite the wealth generated by the tech industry, a significant portion of the population is being left behind. The wealth disparity in San Jose is emblematic of the broader issue of income inequality in the United States. While the tech industry creates millionaires and billionaires, many of the city's residents work in low-paying jobs that fail to provide enough income to cover the cost of living, leading to a surge in homelessness. Denver, with a homeless population of 10,054 people, ranks 5th among U.S. cities facing a homelessness crisis. Like many other cities, Denver's housing crisis is a significant contributor to its growing homeless population. Colorado has the 7th largest housing shortage in the country, and this deficit is particularly acute in Denver. Rising rent prices and home values have pushed many residents out of the housing market, leading to an increase in homelessness. The lack of affordable housing has forced many individuals and families to live in shelters or on the streets. The gentrification of certain Denver neighborhoods has also played a role in displacing long-time residents. As wealthier individuals move into previously lower-income areas, property values and rents increase, pushing out residents who can no longer afford to live there. San Diego is home to approximately 10,264 homeless individuals, making it the 4th city with the largest homeless population in the US. While San Diego is renowned for its beautiful beaches and tourist attractions, the city is also grappling with a growing homelessness problem. San Diego's desirability as a tourist destination has driven up the cost of living, pushing many long-term residents to the brink of poverty. The influx of retirees and out-of-state buyers has exacerbated the housing crisis, leading to higher property values and rents. Many working-class families find it increasingly difficult to secure affordable housing in this competitive market.
My name is Tracy Bennett, and I've been forced to move my tent and belongings countless times. San Diego's lack of real solutions to the homelessness crisis has left me and many others stuck in a cycle of poverty.
Seattle ranks third in the US for its homeless population, with approximately 14,144 individuals living without permanent housing. The city's homelessness crisis is particularly poignant, given the juxtaposition of its booming tech industry with the growing number of people living on the streets. Like San Francisco, Seattle's tech boom has brought immense wealth to the city, but it has also contributed to a widening income gap. While companies like Amazon and Microsoft have created thousands of high-paying jobs, many residents in service and lower-income sectors are left behind, unable to afford the city's rising housing costs.
I found shelter in a place called The Jungle. It's a notorious homeless encampment in Seattle, where many of us live in unsafe and unsanitary conditions because there simply aren't enough affordable housing and shelter options.
Los Angeles, the second largest homeless population in the US. Los Angeles, with a staggering homeless population of approximately 71,312 individuals, ranks as the second city with the largest homeless population in the United States. The city's homelessness crisis has grown more severe over the years, fueled by rising living costs, inadequate housing solutions, and deeply rooted social and economic inequality.
Skyrocketing costs of living. In Los Angeles, the cost of living continues to soar, particularly in the housing market. The average rent for a one-bedroom apartment exceeds $2,300, making it one of the most expensive rental markets in the US. For lower-income individuals, securing affordable housing becomes almost impossible, pushing many into homelessness. Between 2020 and 2023 alone, the homeless population in Los Angeles increased by a staggering 12%.
Skid Row. A district synonymous with homelessness, Skid Row serves as a glaring example of the city's struggles with poverty and displacement. The streets of Skid Row are lined with tents, makeshift shelters, and encampments, offering a visual contrast to the wealth of nearby neighborhoods like Beverly Hills. Here, homelessness is not just a crisis, it's a way of life for thousands. The video highlights this disparity, showcasing the vast divide between the city's wealthy enclaves and its impoverished homeless residents.
The role of crime and gang violence. The video also touches upon the role of crime, particularly gang violence, which exacerbates the homelessness crisis in Los Angeles. Homeless individuals are often caught in the crossfire of gang-related activities, or worse, fall victim to criminal activities due to their vulnerability on the streets. These social issues complicate the city's efforts to address homelessness, as public safety concerns and crime further strain resources.
Did you know? In Los Angeles, luxury apartment complexes remain vacant while homelessness continues to rise, exposing a grim paradox between real estate development and the lack of affordable housing solutions. New York City, the epicenter of America's homeless crisis. With more than 80,000 homeless individuals, New York City holds the title of having the largest homeless population in the United States. The city, often heralded as a beacon of opportunity and success, is paradoxically a focal point for the nation's homelessness crisis. Overcrowded shelters. New York City has long struggled to provide adequate shelter for its homeless population. The city's network of shelters is consistently overcrowded, and the demand for housing far outstrips supply. In response, city officials have repurposed hotels, office buildings, and even erected tent encampments to accommodate the growing number of homeless individuals. However, these efforts have proven insufficient, leaving many without a safe place to stay. Immigration and economic pressures. New York has traditionally been a destination for immigrants seeking a better life. However, many arrive with the hope of securing employment and housing, only to face the harsh realities of limited resources and high living costs. The city's high rent prices and shrinking availability of affordable housing have compounded this issue, particularly for immigrant communities and lower-income families. Even as federal and state support dwindles, the demand for housing and basic services continues to rise, placing immense pressure on the city's social safety nets. A growing humanitarian crisis. New York's homeless population is increasingly becoming a humanitarian crisis. With insufficient federal and state support, the city struggles to provide basic services such as food, medical care, and mental health services to the homeless population. This lack of support has led to deteriorating living conditions for many, with some forced to sleep in subway stations, parks, or makeshift encampments. The video underscores the gravity of this situation, calling attention to the human suffering that often goes unnoticed in one of the world's wealthiest and most prominent cities. Did you know? In New York City, some homeless individuals have been living in shelters for over a decade, illustrating how deeply entrenched and difficult the homelessness crisis has become. The common threads of homelessness in America's major cities. Although the specific circumstances may differ from city to city, the homelessness crisis in America's greatest cities is driven by several overarching factors.
Economic inequality. A consistent theme across all the cities highlighted in the video is the widening gap between the rich and the poor. As cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York prosper, a significant portion of their populations is left behind. High-paying jobs in sectors like technology, finance, and real estate have brought immense wealth to these urban centers. But wages for lower-income workers in service, retail, and other sectors have stagnated. As a result, many people find themselves unable to afford basic necessities, especially housing.
Rising cost of living and housing shortages. Housing affordability is a major driver of homelessness across all the cities discussed. In places like San Francisco and Seattle, the rapid escalation of housing prices has displaced many residents, leaving them without viable housing options. Meanwhile, cities like Phoenix and Sacramento, which were once considered more affordable alternatives, are now grappling with housing shortages and increasing living costs, pushing more individuals into homelessness.
Mental health and substance abuse. Another significant factor contributing to homelessness is the intersection of mental health and substance abuse issues. Many homeless individuals struggle with untreated mental health conditions, while others grapple with addiction, particularly to opioids. Cities like Phoenix, Los Angeles, and San Diego have been hard hit by the opioid crisis, which has further compounded their homelessness problems. In these cases, the lack of adequate mental health services and addiction recovery programs exacerbates the homelessness crisis, leaving individuals trapped in a cycle of poverty and dependency.
Inadequate social services and infrastructure. Despite various government initiatives and non-profit efforts, the U.S. has been unable to provide sufficient social services and infrastructure to meet the needs of its homeless population. Overcrowded shelters, insufficient mental health care, and a lack of affordable housing options are just some of the systemic issues that prevent cities from effectively addressing homelessness. In New York and Los Angeles, for example, the video highlights how the sheer volume of homeless individuals has overwhelmed available resources, creating a humanitarian crisis.
The impact of gentrification plays a critical role in many cities' homelessness problems. As wealthier individuals move into previously lower-income neighborhoods, property values rise and rents increase. This often displaces longtime residents who can no longer afford to live in their communities. Cities like Oakland, Denver, and Seattle have all experienced significant gentrification, which has contributed to rising homelessness rates as low-income residents are forced out of their homes.
Personal stories, humanizing the crisis. The video does more than present stark statistics. It also shares the personal stories of individuals affected by homelessness. These narratives humanize the crisis, offering viewers a glimpse into the daily struggles and resilience of those living on the streets.
Tracy Bennett from San Diego illustrates the plight of a woman forced to move her tent and belongings countless times as she struggles to find stability amidst a broken system.
Cara Bernstein from Seattle shares her experience living in the jungle, one of the city's most infamous homeless encampments, highlighting the complexities and dangers faced by those without shelter.
These stories remind us that homelessness is not just a policy issue or a socio-economic challenge. It's a human issue. Every individual without a home has a unique story, filled with hopes, struggles, and aspirations that are often overlooked. Did you know? More than 30% of the homeless population in the US are families with children, adding another layer of urgency to the crisis. addressing the crisis' possible solutions. The video concludes by emphasizing the urgent need for real, sustainable solutions to address the homelessness crisis in America's cities. While the problem is multifaceted, there are several potential pathways to alleviating the crisis. Increased affordable housing. A critical part of any solution must involve expanding access to affordable housing. Governments at the local, state, and federal levels must invest in building more affordable housing units and enacting policies that incentivize developers to include low-income housing in new projects. Strengthening social safety nets. Expanding social services, including mental health care, addiction treatment, and job training programs, is essential to helping individuals escape the cycle of homelessness. Providing better access to healthcare, education, and employment opportunities can help individuals achieve stability and independence. Rent control and tenant protections. Implementing stronger rent control measures and tenant protection laws can help prevent the displacement of lower-income residents due to rising rents. In cities like San Francisco and New York, where housing costs are particularly high, rent control policies can be an effective tool to keep people in their homes. Innovative shelter solutions. Cities need to adopt more innovative solutions to sheltering the homeless. Ideas such as repurposing vacant hotels, building tiny homes, or creating sanctioned tent cities with services and infrastructure can provide short-term relief while longer-term housing solutions are developed. Homelessness in America's greatest cities is a crisis that calls for both immediate action and long-term structural change. As the video highlights, this is not just a problem of poverty. It is a symptom of deeper socio-economic issues that require a collective effort to resolve. The stories and statistics shared in homeless population growth in America's greatest cities, "It's worse than you think," serve as a call to action, urging policymakers, communities, and individuals to come together to find solutions to this growing crisis.